The streets surrounding the finish line of the Boston Marathon continue to be a crime scene as police have fenced in a triangular perimeter spanning 7 blocks. Among the dead is an 8-year-old boy from Dorchester, which is just south of Boston. He was watching the race with his family to watch family friends cross the finish line. He was accompanied by his mother and sister, both of whom sustained serious injuries. The supervisor of the circuit courts, Gary Wente, confirmed that there was a bomb threat in the building. Markey will go on to advance in the June 25th U.S. Senate special election race against the Republican Party's nominee, Gabriel Gomez. And whoever wins that race will fill this seat formerly held by Secretary of State John Kerry, but not for long. Kerry's seat is up for grabs again at the end of next year. And everyone is convinced that it's their candidate that is committed to Western Massachusetts and has made efforts to visit the region. Federal officials say the drought has not impacted Massachusetts as it has the Midwest and other parts of the country, but they are closely monitoring the situation. And while insurers will cover the damage to the house, the full value of the mortgage may not be, and that's where homeowners may be out of luck. Well, it was an early morning wake-up call, but there was a packed crowd inside full of joy and well wishes for the royal couple. Here we have the proposed legislative map on the Senate side. Over to the west by Berkshire County, we suffered some population loss, which means Senator Downing's district in Berkshire County will gobble up some towns over to the north as well as to the south. With massive federal spending cuts being planned in Washington, these seniors have a unified message. You can read it on one of their signs. Hands off Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Efficient lighting systems, health monitors, and this sleep monitor that I'm wearing that monitors your sleep patterns at night. The stories behind these tech innovations are similar. Outside here, security is tight. Police have cordoned off the area 2 blocks in either direction of the Cathedral of the Holy Cross. Hundreds of people have gathered. You can see some people leaving the church right now, many of them outside hoping to catch a glimpse of President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. A driving ban was lifted at 4 p.m. in Massachusetts, but state officials are still encouraging you not to drive. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some shoveling to do. Oh, it's heavy. In Cambridge, Christine Lee, 22 News.
We were standing there watching the races go by, and all of a sudden there was a big blast almost directly across from the finish line, and about 5 seconds later another one went off about the next block up. It was just absolute chaos.
Chaos at the finish line. 3 people were killed, nearly 200 others were wounded when 2 bombs went off at the Boston Marathon Monday afternoon, creating confusion and concern among the runners.
And I was waiting because my wife was still running. I didn't know where she was. I knew she was close to that time of finishing, but I got a call from her about 10 minutes later that she was actually they stopped her on the course at mile 25.5. So I'm waiting here in the lobby to see if, see how she can get back to me. So she's going to try to let me know, but the cell phone coverage is bad. I'm not hearing from her yet.
A medical tent set up by the finish line to treat runners for exhaustion and dehydration became a makeshift hospital to treat the injured. Spectators looked on in disbelief, waiting for information on loved ones. What was supposed to be a happy and inspirational day turned unexpectedly tragic. Supporters of a bill that expands the state's DNA database say this is the way of the future, to both exonerate the innocent and accurately identify the guilty so that they never offend again.
Rape is not something that happened to me one night. It was something I relived in vivid detail hundreds and hundreds of times.
A woman who identifies herself only as Amy testified before the legislature's Judiciary Committee. In 1996, she said a man broke into her home and raped her at knife point. She was 22 years old.
Although he terrorized me for 45 minutes, I never saw his face, and I could not even provide information for law enforcement to create a sketch.
What authorities did have was his unique DNA profile. Looks a little something like this. A digital fingerprint precise enough to ensure pinpoint accuracy down to 1 in a billion. Lawmakers are proposing a bill that expands the state's DNA database by requiring people arrested for felony charges to provide a DNA sample after arraignment rather than after conviction.
We're going to do it sooner or later. It is the fingerprint of the future, if you will.
But critics question whether storing a person's DNA profile is an invasion of privacy or whether the information can be misused. The lead sponsor of the bill says,
we would not correlate the DNA information with a particular name for the purposes of identification until a match is made, and then that information would be useful.
If a person is found not guilty, this bill would make sure their DNA information is destroyed and removed from the state database. In Boston, Christine Lee, 22 News. The Massachusetts State House served as a backdrop for the Obama campaign to slam former Governor Mitt Romney's record on job creation, debt, taxes, and fees. But much of their message was drowned out by counter-protesters.
It is great to be in Massachusetts, Obama country.
President Barack Obama's top aide, David Axelrod, attacks Mitt Romney in his home state of Massachusetts, slamming his track record as governor for increasing the state's debt by more than $2.5 billion, cutting taxes only for the wealthy, raising fees, and losing jobs.
Under Governor Romney, the state was 47th in job creation, 4th from the bottom.
Former North Adams Mayor John Barrett also criticized Romney for being out of touch with the western part of the state.
He visited Pittsfield on 2 occasions. In his opening remark, he said it was great to be in the city of Springfield.
But their message was disrupted by relentless chanting from a large crowd of Romney supporters. Hours before Axelrod arrived, Romney's team took over the State House steps to defend the former governor.
We balanced the budget 4 times. We created a $2 billion rainy day fund. We had a bond upgrade.
He created more net new jobs in Massachusetts alone than President Obama has managed to create in the entire United States combined.
On Wednesday, Romney crossed the threshold and won the more than 1,100 delegates needed to clinch the Republican presidential nomination. Live in Boston, Christine Lee, 22 News. This is the gym where Olympic dreams are made, where hometown girl Aly Raisman trained to become a 2-time gold medalist. Before she jumped, swung, and somersaulted into our hearts, the most decorated gymnast of the London Olympic Games, Aly Raisman, had her early beginnings here at Preston's Gymnastics Club in Burlington.
Aly, she's one of the hardest worker gymnasts I ever have before, and the determination to get on top, she proved this every single day.
And it was that determination that propelled her to win 2 gold medals for Olympic team gymnastics and floor exercise, and pick up a bronze medal for balance beam. Aly was also named captain of Team USA, and it was here that she honed those leadership skills.
You know, she's coming from big family, like a number of the kids. She's very nice with all the little ones, and she likes to help them. And they chose her to be the leader because she's one caring about everyone.
So as the girls practice their own balance beam routines, it's harder than it looks. They'll continue to look up to Aly to achieve their own gold medal dreams.
She just worked so hard, and if I achieve those goals, then I can be like her. It really gives me hope that I can do it too, because we come from the same gym and I see her train all the time, and it makes me think that I can do it too, and it's a big dream of mine.
Aly is still at the Olympics. She plans to attend the closing ceremony, but if she were here, this is what the girls would have to say to her. Girls?
Congratulations, Aly!
In Burlington, Christine Lee, 22 News. Governor Deval Patrick has reopened Boston's public subway system, lovingly known around these parts as the T. But local police officers are still keeping guard over all the entryways in the greater Boston area, as they have for most of the day. All of this in place, of course, because of the manhunt for Jahar Tsarnaev, the second Boston Marathon bombing suspect who remains at large. We're starting to get an outline of who Tsarnaev is. He is ethnically Chechen, but has been living in the U.S. for the last 10 years at least. He's currently enrolled at UMass Dartmouth and graduated from Cambridge Ringe and Latin School in 2011. Those who knew and grew up with the 19-year-old say he was a good person who they'd never imagined would be capable of these heinous crimes.
He had a car, so he was pretty popular. People used to go around all the time. We used to go to cliff diving and stuff. He had a good future ahead of him, and he was very giving. Like, I would never, Jahar would always give us rides home. I don't know.
Police officers have increased their presence in Boston, Cambridge, Newton, Watertown, and surrounding towns and cities. All of this in place for the manhunt, as I mentioned before. But for now, public transportation has reopened for the public to use. Live in the Boston Common, Christine Lee, 22 News.